Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. She's here. Genix.
Genix! I haven't had Genix in a while. Good morning. How are you this morning? Perfect. Good morning, Ayo. How are you?
Good morning, Genix.
Perfect. Ayo, Mide. Good morning, Rufai. How are you this morning? Perfect. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending with reactions trailing the ministerial screening of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's nominees by the Senate on Monday. Professor Utsev, who was among the first batch of nominees screened, generated controversy in the Senate over the age he started elementary school, according to the Curriculum Vitae, which he submitted to the Senate. The professor's year of birth, as indicated, was 1980, while his primary education was completed in 1989. The senator representing Lagos East, Senator Mikhail Abiru, had drawn the attention of the Senate to the CV, questioning the age at which the professor gained admission into primary school.
I just want clarifications around your biodata. Now, on the very first page, page 1, you said you were born on the 2nd of December 1980. Now, looking further down, you attended St. John's Primary School, Boko. You just wrote 1989. I'm wondering whether you finished primary school in 1989, which will suggest that you either started primary school at the age of 3 or 2 for you to finish in 1989. That's 1. 2, you also claim that you went to SEPA secondary school. You put 1995. That will also suggest, so I don't know with the band whether it was 1989 to 1995. But what is also what will appear a bit distorted for me, which I also need clarification for, is that given your academic excellence, you know, you graduated in 2004, meaning that, you know, you probably will have spent almost 9 years for your first degree. I just need you to clarify those data. I hope you understand, starting from primary school to why it took you that long to also get your first degree despite the academic brilliance that you have exhibited. Thank you, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues. Thank you.
Well, in a move to bury the issue, Senator representing Adamawa North, Ishaku Abbo, said the professor is exceptionally brilliant, just like himself, for starting primary school at the age of 3.
Some people don't understand certain things. To clear air of you going into finishing primary school or entering primary school at the age of 3. Let me tell you a personal story. I sat for common entrance examination when I was in primary 3, and I won because I was exceptionally brilliant. I passed. It's all the same. Winning and passing are all the same. So the question of you entering primary school at the age of 3 did not arise. But when did you finish? And at what level did you start for your common interest exam? You may be like me, exceptionally brilliant. So, we have cleared that because you are on national television. I don't want people to go home thinking that your integrity is being called to question. You are a professor in this country and have done exceptionally well for the university to make you a professor.
Well, he won. Winning is the same thing. I mean, this is a lot to deal with. Well, in the same vein, another ministerial nominee, Bello Muhammad's credentials were also scrutinized on Monday. A senator representing Rivers East, Awel Onyeso, sought to know how Muhammad was able to gain admission into the university if his school leaving certificate shows that he only had 2 credits out of the 5 subjects he took.
I've been looking for your school cert. I saw one. You sat for 5 subjects with 2 credits. I don't know how. I want to imagine that you still have another to bring. If not, I would want you to explain how you got into university with that. Thank you.
I have other secondary school results which I have all passed that I have not attached to my CV because we are talking of secondary school certificate. And I want to remind distinguished senator, which I know he very much know, that the qualifications of secondary school certificate, as enshrined in the Constitution, you can stand for an election up to the presidential election. So I didn't bother you with much certificates, but I know I have the qualification for that. Okay, sir.
You are saying that you chose what to give to the Senate. You chose the qualification to bring before the Senate because of the constitutional provision that a secondary school certificate is what is required to stand for election. You are not coming to stand for election. You are coming to be a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
What he is asking me is, I sat, my first sitting was secondary school certificate with 2 credit passes. And what I'm trying to say is that I have sat for another examination and I have passed, but I don't want to attach another qualification because
the famous off your mic came up. Dr. Mati, I can't hold myself, so
okay,
please.
the ministerial nominee from Sokoto State, that's Bello Mohammed. He says he has much.
A lot.
I don't know what that means.
A lot. He did submit the correct one, actually.
Nigeria is a very funny country. Academic qualification is always an issue. But he's right in one regard when he said, look, you don't need too many, much to be a minister. In fact, you don't even need much to become president of Nigeria. If you look at section 131 or section 177 for governors, 131 for the president, it just says you need school cert or its equivalent. So the equivalent is what he is defining as much. However, we had Senator Titus Zam on this program earlier on before he joined us. And he tried to explain that, well, in his case, he took the 2 credits. He must be very brilliant to have scored 2 credits. He really tried to go and do a diploma. And after getting a diploma, you know, he then went to university and all of that. But you know this thing about education, all these quota system people, you know, who just go to school and they come and talk about much, whatever that means in English language. However, what is instructive is that in his case, and in the case of Professor Joseph Utsev, there's a 3rd case, the ministerial nominee from Taraba, Senator Danladi. The Senate had said, okay, they will put their confirmation on hold and do investigation and look at it and double check on their claims with regard to age and qualification. That's what Senator Zam told us, and I hope he's telling us the truth. But in the case of Senator Utsev, Professor Utsev from Benue State, he said he finished primary school at the age of 9. Well, maybe that's possible.
That means he entered primary school at the age of...
Look,
at the age of 3.
In Nigeria, anything is possible.
They're saying on social media he should be in the Guinness World Record now.
Some people complete nursery school in their mother's wombs in this country. You have not had that. By the time they are delivered at the maternity ward, they already have nursery school certificate. So this is Nigeria. So let's leave it to the senators to investigate. All right. You know, and then see what happens at the end of the day. But even then, you don't need to be a professor to be a minister in Nigeria. I mean, you don't... Look, schools have failed. It's enough.
It's appalling.
If you attended 3 seminars somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you know, in an unknown country, you can be president of Nigeria. You don't need a certificate.
It shouldn't be.
That's the import of the law, the interpretation of Section 131 and Section 177
Does it make
of
it right,
the 1999 Constitution.
Does it make it right? But let me take some more reactions. This is from Foundational, who wrote, from the videos and reports of the Senate screening of the ministerial nominees, it's very clear that Nigerian lawmakers are miles away from getting things right. The quality of questions asked by senators shows that it's just going to be business as usual. Take a bow and rubber stamp screening. Beyond lawmaking functions, the lawmakers are constitutionally empowered to carry out oversight functions on the executive arm of government, and this entails many things beyond what is on display so far. Could this also be because the nominees have no portfolios yet? I mean, is that a question? I mean, I don't know if that's even enough. Why the screening in the first place? Why not attach portfolios before you go into screening? These questions about certificates, Dr. Abati has even just debunked it, saying, why are we even bothering with the certificates if you don't even need much to join, to be a minister? No, I'm just stating, I'm stating facts.
You're cooking
well, Rufai, go ahead.
I mean, totally correct, and it shows that we need to revisit the law on that end in terms of, because the truth is that it's stated that to become a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it's the same requirement as to be elected as a member of the House of Representatives. And the requirement to be elected as a member of the House of Representatives is your school certificate, your senior secondary school certificate. So if indeed you have any challenges with your senior secondary certificate, then you can just say, you know what, I'm just handing over my SSC, whatever you want to make of that, make of it. But let's go over to the process. It was quite an interesting process, and I'm glad that a number of Nigerians were quite interested in watching how it turned out. I watched it, and it was interesting. But what I must point out is that Oji just seemed like a group of friends who came together to laugh and, shake hands. So, I mean, Governor Wike's one was at best, so entertaining, and he was talking about what he did. But let's talk about the other, the fact that they didn't bring their portfolios. In actual fact, I think if they don't attach portfolios to ministry, to the names, they shouldn't bother with a screening process. Because there you are asking and speculating which portfolio would go to who. So you're asking Dr. Betta Edu about health, you're asking the Professor Utsev about agriculture, because he went to, he's a graduate of agriculture and a professor of agriculture. So you're projecting that he would be given that portfolio. And then for those that they couldn't quite ascertain, like, people who had quite a broad background and CV, just ask general questions. Yeah. And it doesn't apply. So it becomes a waste in terms of an effort. They spent about 6 hours, over 6 hours during this, 11 a.m. to about 6 p.m. That's about 7 hours. Quite a long process, but they're just asking questions, and they will laugh, then they will bow, and sometimes it seems as if we're being taken for a ride. Now, to the issue around the certificate, it's worthy of note that Barrister Bola Mohammed did go to earn, like Dr. Bat had mentioned, got a diploma in law in 1990, and then went on in 1997 to get his first degree in law. So he's actually a legal colleague of Dr. Abati. But it's important to see even the education structure of Nigeria. Perhaps the way he responded to the question didn't inspire confidence. Because when he said to say, he has others, why didn't you bring it? If you go around as a barrister, then you should be proud enough. Then again, this thing about trust. Oftentimes just look at the fact that we'll go back and find out that they are not adding up. Professor Utsev said he was brilliant. And if you look at his academic records, he was actually brilliant. He came tops when he graduated from the College of Agriculture with the second-class upper division. So he said he got into primary school in 1984, so at the age of 4 years. And so maybe he spent less time in primary school, got double promotion, but like you mentioned, he should be part of the gifted program. Absolutely. It's just the fact that we need to check all these things, and hopefully the senators will do their due diligence. All right,
before I come to you, former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, was also screened on Monday during the session. Wike touted his impressive curriculum vitae and achievements as the basis for accepting the ministerial offer. He also emphasized his commitment to Tinubu's administration.
Till 27th of May, while I was living 27th of May, Mr. Senate President, I was commissioning, I was flagging off a project. These things can be achieved if you are committed, if you have passion for the job. There are so many people who want to be minister, who want to be governor, for the sake that I was a governor, for the sake that I was a minister. But there are those who say, look, what do I want to offer? Am I committed to this job? And I thank Mr. President for nominating me. I I believe, knowing how hungry Mr. President is to solving the problems of Nigeria, we have no choice but to give him that required support. And I can assure you, if I'm confirmed, in whatever capacity, Mr. President will not regret nominating me. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right, Rufai. Governor Wike is one of those that, would not require much certificate. But, he was quite controversial because a lot of people were saying that, he was basically told to take a bow. He wasn't properly screened after, his submission there. And also, I believe there was a Rivers senator who talked about 5 million people or how many million people backing Wike. And Akpabio said that he got goosebumps. In fact, just take a bow. No issues.
Please. Mr. Senatorial Nominee, much. I'm not part of them.
You're not?
I just want to exonerate myself.
Okay.
It's Dr. Abati, Ayo, and Oji. I'm not part of them. Much.
Rufai is not part of it.
I'm not part of them.
No violence from Rufai
no
today.
No violence from me, but it's much.
Okay.
Real quickly, I was sad when I saw the ministerial screening. It's a reflection of how low our country has become. We can laugh all we want, but in fact, we should cry for Nigeria. Look at the quality of personnel in the same country that produced the Wole Soyinka. These are the people that want to lead us in terms of ministerial position. People with crooked CVs. And please, I would like to ask, what did the DSS say they do? Did they do? What did the DSS do in all of this? Because if the DSS has screened these people, I'm not sure they should even get to this point. So what did they do, really?
I don't know.
Those are the questions we don't ask. And the Senate, they're saying they're going to review Curriculum Vitae. Are they going to employ security check, background check? Who's going to pay for that?
Taxpayers.
So what are they reviewing? Isn't this DSS supposed to? But I'm not surprised. Wasn't it the same DSS that did a screening for Ms. Kemi Adeosun? I couldn't see that there was a forgery in an NYSC certificate. And they passed it. And this same Senate also checked through this, and they didn't raise any concern. And it went like that until the investigative journalist brought out the facts. And she saw that it was true and she had to resign. Which was a shame on our country. And the way we are screening ministers, see, Dr. Abati, you taught in school. By extension, Ayo, you did your NYSC, you were a teacher. When we did them, we were all teachers. Oji, you did NYSC, we were all teachers. There's something called a marking guide. If you set exam for people, for children, for students, you can't mark without a marking guide. What we are trying to do is to mark the exam without a marking guide. Abi Dr. Abati a lie? There's something called a marking guide. You have to see the way at which you're going to allocate marks. But when there's no portfolio, it's marking without a marking guide. So what we did yesterday, as far as I'm concerned, was a charade, was play. And that's why you see it was more comical than anything. It was good comic relief. And it got television ratings. As far as I'm concerned, what we did was not a screen. And for Governor Wike, the comical nature just even continued by the Senate. How can you say because somebody had been screened by the Senate many years ago when he was a minister, that you should give him that preference? And who is he that they couldn't ask him the tough, critical questions? But what did our senators do? They went there and they were patting him on the back. Some even said that 5 million people from Rivers. What stops us from asking him? If he's that intellectually gifted, that's a more reason why you should ask him questions, because this is not a national play.
Right.
For me, the scene looked like a scene from Baba Salah and Baba Kwete. You know Baba Kwete Onile Golu. It used to be a very popular sitcom on a TV station called Galaxy Badon in the 90s. Baba Kwete, that's what it looked like. Right. We are joking in a country that has a lot of problems, but in all of this, there are good rays of hope. Kudos to Better. Better. Kudos to you, my sister. You took all your questions right. You did a good job. You were affirmative. You had grasp of the issues they were asking you. And also, I think the NAPTIP lady. Kudos to you, madam. You didn't take it as a joke. There was another lady that they asked a question about taxes, Oji, that she said because she just striked it, she couldn't, there's no need to pay taxes or all of that. He talks about taxes. I think they should ask her that questions. that question again. It's really important because that question was not convincing enough as regards taxing.
All right.
Yeah, or an yeah.
All right,
but kudos to Beta, kudos to the NAPTIP lady, and kudos to those that did well. And probably today we'll see some star brains, the likes of Mr. Edu and the likes of, let's. This is not a joke. Nigeria deserves better.
Dr.
I
Abati.
don't think you're surprised about Beta Edu. Beta Edu, he's a Malabres.
Yes, now. She showed working.
Harvard product.
Yes, now.
This
Look
one,
at better.
you don't have to use torchlight to look
for their
for the certificates.
Absolutely. Dr. Abati, I wanted to ask you about this culture of take a bow. In fact, about Governor Wike's screening in particular. Is that
what Nigerians are asking for is that whether you have been governor or you have been a member of the National Assembly, it wasn't only Wike that was asked to take a bow. Others were also asked to take a bow. Former governors, former members of the House of Reps, former senators who showed up yesterday. And we have been saying, no, the fact that you have been governor before or that you have been in the National Assembly is not an excuse for you to just come and they treat you with kid gloves. However, Senator Zam, whom we spoke with earlier on this same program, said, no, nobody was treated with kid gloves. But as Ayo pointed out, it looked like, they were just having a joke, playing around, patting those persons on their backs. So, but the rigor that we have not seen, I think, is as a result of the fact that all these people, they don't know their portfolios.
That's it.
It was like just flying in the dark.
That's what
and, even the lawmakers themselves were handicapped.
Right.
But, what Senator Zam was saying is that, attachment of portfolio is an executive function. The Senate cannot insist on that. Where we, the people of Nigeria, we're insisting on that.
Right.
That if a man is going to be screened by the Senate, we want to know what he's being screened for.
We need details.
So that we too can do our own assessment.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
we can, on the basis of that, reach concrete conclusions. As for Governor Wike, the bigger problem that he has to face is that his party, the People's Democratic Party, they have said they are just waiting for him. Now they have the evidence they are looking for. they will allege that, okay, this is concrete evidence of his anti-party conduct.
Absolutely.
And they are likely to come after him and say, well, Wike, since you have joined the cancerous people, as you described them, you and the cancer people, you are in good company, whether their cancer is in remission or not.
Right.
But we would like to see. So this is not the end of it. There will be more drama.
Yes.
But obviously, I told you that both Wike and Nasir Rufai, they will not reject the opportunity. After all, Silvanus Nsofo, now blessed memories, Justice Nsofo, he accepted ambassadorial appointment at the age of 84.
84 years old.
And without being nasty, he died on the job.
All right.
So, Ojineka, when you are 85, they give you ministerial appointment. I expect you to take it.
I'll think
go
about
there
it.
and be doing great-grandma, minister, great-grandma, Ojineka.
All right, Dr.
And you claim that you are serving Nigeria.
I'll think
and
about
we will
it.
understand.
Okay. Well, talking about taking responsibility, accountability, in another development, we have received information about alleged fraud perpetrated by the immediate former Minister of Health and the immediate former board chairman and chief medical director of Urua Specialist Teaching Hospital in Edo State. Pictures of the recently commissioned Children Emergency Unit and Department of Anatomic Pathology shows that the hospital is still in a dilapidated state after said contract had been awarded by the Health Ministry. The building was commissioned late last year, and these pictures were taken just in June. I mean, Rufai, you sent me the story, and
so I got the
see.
story. We can't mention our sources, but it's somebody in-house there, and he said that if you check the plaque, if they can put the picture of the plaque, if the project was said to have been commissioned at a certain date last year.
Yeah.
In December 2020. But the project has not been finished. And the person said they took the picture in June. And further went ahead to say that after they complete, I think they've removed the plaque now, but if you go there, but this picture was taken in June. So I think the hospital Ira Specialist Hospital, I think the medical director and the like should be able to react to this.
Absolutely.
When we get stories, it's a function in the media to put them out there, as regards project and things like that. But it's also incumbent on them to be able to react, so that let us get both sides of the story and it's a balanced one out there. So it was just what we saw that we got reported.
Well done, Rufai. Well, ahead of the planned strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress set to hold tomorrow, August 2nd, the senator representing Adamawa North at the National Assembly, OjyOkpe, in a video now making the rounds on social media, urged Labour leaders not to proceed with the strike action, but to give the new government some time to position itself properly. He said the government is working hard to revive the economy. He also stated that the controversial 8,000 naira per month palliative was an offer by the World Bank and not by the federal government. Let's take a listen.
Please, NLC, give the new government some time to sit up. I want to plead with you people. We are businessmen before being in politics. And please take this plea serious. Do not destroy further the economy by going on strike. Let us dialogue. Let us talk. There's no way 8,000 proposed by World Bank. That was proposed by World Bank. I saw the budget. It wasn't the proposal of Nigerian government. It was proposed by World Bank in the budget and the loan. And it is not the right thing to do. My appeal today is frankly to Nigerian Labour Congress. I know that the workers, the people of Nigeria are flawed. Things are so difficult. But we will overcome with good communication and cooperation. Please, do not go on strike to ridicule this economy. It will be worse.
Well, I mean, that clarification there got a lot of people thinking Ayo as well. But I mean, I think it is good that he's come out to appeal to the Labour Congress as well. I mean, the strike tomorrow is going to really affect the economy. I mean, I don't think we need it, but it is important that the negotiation that has been, I don't even know what word to use to describe this situation with the government and the Labour Congress negotiating on avail.
So the Nigerian Labour Congress, in a statement post yesterday's meeting, had said that they felt they weren't taken seriously by the government. In fact, that they would appear and they would go through security screening for about 2 hours, and they would got into the meeting room and there was no government official. So that they felt like the government wasn't taking them seriously, hence they were still going to go ahead with the strike, and that the speech that the president made yesterday didn't quite address some of their key concerns, and so they'll still go ahead. But let's go back to what Senator OjyOkpe said with regards to the World Bank giving 8,000 naira. If you recall, this $800 million that was approved by, or that the House passed, was not from this, didn't originate from this particular administration. It was approved by the World Bank as a loan 2 years ago.
Yes.
Now, earlier today, we had watched a video by the lead economist for Nigeria, the World Bank, Alex Senat, where he was talking about the fact that many Nigerian households have income of less than 60,000 naira. That already is a problem on its own. That the fact that he said that we're so poor that 8,000 naira would make such a big difference to families, not just individuals, per month in Nigeria. The government has to fix that. It means that half of Nigeria, according to that, his speech and his findings, are living in abject poverty.
Absolutely.
Poverty that's below the poverty line, less than $1 a day. So beyond that, he then says that, so giving 8,000 naira, even 5,000 naira would go a long way. Now, 8,000 naira 2 years ago, the value of 8,000 naira, purchasing power of 8,000 naira, what 8,000 naira would have gotten it for you 2 years ago when World Bank approved that sum, cannot be compared with what 8,000 naira can buy today in the current economic realities.
Yes.
So we had to face facts. Yes, we're saying, oh, it was not even us, it was World Bank who assessed the situation. We should be ashamed of that, first of all. And then the second thing is that 2 years ago when it was approved, the value is not the same 2 years afterwards. And then we still had subsidy.
Yes.
Subsidy has been removed. Things have gone up.
Absolutely. Dr. Abati, tomorrow's protest, I've seen those flyers, if we can pull them up. There are a lot of, requests that the Labour is asking for. They're asking to, move for the food, move against slave masters on August 2nd. I'd love for you to touch on that.
Yesterday, there was a meeting between organized Labour and the federal government. That meeting had to be adjourned because it was getting close to 7 o'clock. And Joe Ajaero, the president of the Labour Congress, said they needed to go and listen to the president. Now, earlier on, when we were analyzing the content of the president's national broadcast, we said he tried to address some of the concerns of labor with regard to education, with regard to palliatives, with regard to CNG buses, 3,000 of which he promised that his government will provide, 20-seater buses to be specific. We talked about, his commitment, as he pointed out, to increasing the national minimum wage. And I even went a step further to praise, the private sector, establishments that have increased staff salaries. The other day, you gave us at least 2 examples. Okay, so all of this, the only major area of departure here had to do with fuel subsidy removal, which Labour has been asking for. So my assumption is that Labour will also have some expectations with regard to that speech that was delivered yesterday.
Absolutely.
So the question that now remains is that when they meet today at 12 noon, will Labour now go there and say, well, Mr. President, we listened to you yesterday, maybe there will be no strike again? Or Labour will insist that, well, all the things that the president said, they're still not satisfied. But we'll wait to see whether there will be that protest tomorrow or not. But whatever happens, that protest, as the various analysts have pointed out, is going to have an effect on Nigeria.
It is.
The economic intelligence report that we have been quoting says, look, the Naira is depreciating. There is foreign exchange crisis as a result of scarcity of supply. If you add to that strikes and protests, then of course, Nigeria will find itself in a terrible place whereby things will just get worse very quickly. We hope that President Tinubu will show commitment to his promise yesterday that after darkness, there's going to be a glorious dawn, and that he understands our burden, and that what his administration is committed to is the greatest good of the greatest number. Yes. That is also what the Nigerian people want.
Absolutely.
They are saying this suffering is too much.
It's too much.
This shege is too much. They want respite.
Right.
And we hope that it will not be too long before the people begin to see that promise from the president. But on the whole, there are people who are saying that what the president did yesterday amounted to campaign after election.
Yeah.
But as long as he used results, I think the people will feel much better.
Absolutely. That is actually the rhetoric there. But the good news is that the Lagos State Governor has, provided some sort of palliative as well. We live in Lagos, so it is refreshing to... Late, yes, but it's refreshing to hear.
But better late than never.
Right.
Just like the president's palliative, good, late, but better late than never. Because somebody will have thought that once all of this started, once we pulled out subsidy, they would have done, not waiting for a couple of months down the line, but better late than never, as how we can reflect the country. But concerning the loan, it's a concessionary loan. But also, I'm going to say a couple of things today. Going forward, we're in a big quagmire. Let's not deceive ourselves. At some point, this government will have to borrow. Probably, we can't go to Eurobonds now because the rates are very high. And when we went through this process in 2016, when we did float in 2016, and we had the repercussion, and the Naira was knocked up to about 500. What saved us then was we went to the Eurobond market and we borrowed and were able to, stabilize our currency. At some point down the line, yes, President Tinubu has bought some time with this, things injection into the economy. At some point we have to borrow. Probably we'll look at the way of concessionary loans, one way or the other. But those ones also come with conditions, But at some point, we have to still borrow because it's not looking good. Let's not deceive ourselves.
Yeah, let everyone keep to their promise. All right, then we'll take our final story. Highlighting this video, showing a group of people swimming in what appeared to be petrol that spilled from a falling tanker. The location and date of the incident is yet to be identified.
When trouble sleep, younger go we come. Lover, he could get you.
Voila, you could get. I mean,
swimming pool.
This is recipe for complete disaster. I wonder if this happened in that, if this was the tanker that spilled and they had that explosion a couple of weeks ago. But this is completely horrible.
Okay, this is what the country has been reduced to.
Yes.
People have become suicidal. Yes. This is petrol, a swimming pool made of petrol. All you need is just a small spark.
That's it.
And all these people will be incinerated immediately.
You see?
In the midst of the desperation, people no longer care. Life means nothing to them. They are thinking of what they can collect, maybe to meet certain expectations. And yet in a country that has government, where are the security agencies to go and drive them away? Because if you try to commit suicide, it's an offense. If you succeed, it's not an offense. So these people are committing an offense, trying to commit suicide. They should have been arrested.
Yeah.
But, nobody cares. Maybe they are waiting for them to complete the fact and die in the process. I keep telling people, suicide is not in itself a crime.
No.
It's the attempt to commit suicide that is a crime. And so this is a criminal enterprise that you are watching on television.
This should be, this is unacceptable.
When I see things like that, I remember the case of JC. Fire incident, I think it was 98, where people were scooping fuel and they burned. Thousands of people, over 1,000 people were burned to death. If for anything, please, go and see the pictures from JC and gather some sense like this in local parlance.
Well, all right. Scary. Unbelievable. Well, all right. I'd like to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.